So I guess I'd better make a video for you guys. This is not one of my wrenches. This is one that I bought at the Palm Springs FanBelt house that I copied. The guy makes a whole bunch of tools though. He's a nice guy too, but I'm just copying his wrenches. So this is what it looks like when you bend the 9/16 end 160 degrees, because the nut is underneath. You can't get to it very easily unless you put a long nut on, a double long or triple long nut, or just buy my wrench. So I do it in several stages. First I put the wrench in here and I heat it up cherry red, then I bend it as far as it'll go before it hits the vise jaw. And I open the vise further, and I'll show you how I do this. Take my junk cell phone and set it there out of the range of the sparks on my cluttered workbench that I bought at auction 30 years ago, 20 bucks probably. Let's see, zoom in a little bit. Yep, if I tilt it over, it'll just tip over. Then I open this up so I can just stick that into the screw that holds the jaw in place. And I crank up the torches. Crank her up! And heat it up. Not in the vise, outside the vise. Heat it up till it's nice and carousel red, like a 69 Pontiac GTO Judge. Heat it up nice and red. Turn off the torches, set them down. Make sure it's not burning anything where it's put down. Put it back in the vise, and because it's just bent a touch more. Oop, I'll heat it up again. I should make a holster for my torch, so I just lay it down there in a pipe. Turning it off, resetting it. Heat it up again, then I compare it to the one that has the proper angle, and I bend it just right, and I cut off the open end, and weld on an open end that adjusts the FanBelt guide on the top of the shroud, 64 and only. Bend it till it matches right on the money. Whoop. You don't have to go further because it doesn't spring back like you do with wood, where you jack up a little bit more when you're... Yep, look at that. Look at the viewfinder. Yep. Doesn't have to be exact. Could be off by a degree or two. Once I bent it too close to here, and the guy sent it back because it wouldn't go on the 9/16 nut, I had to file the teeth a little bit. I bent it too close and I distorted it just a little bit. And it doesn't do very much, it just tightens the nut for the... I think I got one of those. Right here, yeah. Well, I got the oil pump housing. And I don't have the top piece where the oil filter attaches, but goes right there. There's an idler here for the fan belt, which comes off the back of the engine and it turns 90 degrees, and you got to get into there. So from on top you can't get to it, and from the bottom you can, so that's the reason for this. Alright, I'll do one more, if you don't mind watching. Clamp this into the vise, give it a 1/4 inch from the end, crank this baby up. Crank open the vise that I've had for over 30 years. I bought it at Sears 30 years ago. Getting old. I get the vise opened up to the correct size and I pull it out of the vise, heat it up. I heated this one a tiny bit too far from the end. I'm going to heat it up more on the end. Torch, make sure it's not laying in anything because the tip gets hot. have any eventualities, and I bend it. Whoop. Whoop. Tiny bit too much. Yep, a little too much. Yep. Look at that. Beautiful. Alright, I got a bit more work to do. I got to cut this end off. Cut that right off. And then I make an extension. Oh, forget, I got to think. I got a guide thing I made out of a couple pieces of angle iron. Birds are flying.
Yeah, we lost the first one we played on.
There we go. There's my guide. I gotta remember how I use this thing, but it's the guide. Somehow it does what I needed to do. That's what I'm gonna do next. Alright, I got all my little toys spread out. I'm gonna cut the ends of these wrenches off now. Show you how it's done. Set the camera on top of this dead battery and crank this baby up. Oops. Cut the wrong end off. Oops. Yep. Cut the wrong end on this one. I'll just weld it back up. I only went through a third of the way. Now what I do is I weld that to that. And I bend it ever so slightly so it can clear the ignition wires. Needs just a little bend, just a few degrees. Simple enough, huh?